Hello, you're very welcome. My name is Lachlan Deegan. I'm the Director of the Lir Academy at Trinity College Dublin, and I'm delighted to talk to you now about the Master in Fine Art programmes that we offer at the Lir Academy. We currently offer three postgraduate MFA programmes at the Lir: an MFA in Theatre Directing, in Stage Design and in Playwriting. All of the courses are taught full-time over a 12-month period, or students can opt to take the courses part-time over 2 years. All three of our MFA programmes are led by and taught by some of Ireland's leading theatre professionals who continue to have very successful artistic careers in their own right. The MFA programme, it's different to an MA programme in that it is very much designed to teach young artists how to develop their practice and develop their artistic process, and to launch them into a career working professionally in the theatre as either directors, designers or playwrights. First of all, just to talk a little bit more about the MFA in Theatre Directing and to talk you through the modules of that course. First of all, there's a module called Contemporary Theatre Practice that is at the heart of the three MFA programmes. The MFA programmes in the Lir were very much designed to encourage artists from the different disciplines of directing, design and playwriting to come together and to learn together and work together, and indeed develop relationships and bonds that they may well take forward into the beginning of their professional careers together. And one of the ways we do this is through the Contemporary Theatre Practice module, where students come together to see work together, contemporary work in the theatres of Dublin, including international work visiting Dublin, particularly during the Dublin Theatre Festival and the Dublin Fringe Festival, but also watching seminal recordings of some of the most important contemporary theatre artists, and discussing and dissecting that work and challenging themselves around their own perceptions of theatre, what good theatre is, the directions the art form is taking, etc. It's a seminar-based module led by Thomas Conway, who is an academic but also a director and a theatre practitioner in his own right. Second module that all the directing students take is called Dramaturgy for Theatre Directing. Again, it's a module that's shared with the playwriting students, but also with some of the design students. It's essentially a very deep reading of the Western theatre tradition from Greek drama forwards, meeting contemporary theatre practice in the mid to late 20th century. But it's very much reading those plays not from an academic perspective or in terms of critical thinking, but it's looking at them from the perspective of your artistic discipline, understanding the plays in terms of structure, form, content, character, etc. And indeed challenging young artists to consider how they might approach the plays in contemporary production. And finally, on the third taught module as part of the MFA in Theatre Direction is the Directing Workshop, where the student directors work with tutor directors every week on plays and texts, working with actors, rehearsing with actors all week and presenting to the tutors at the end of the week and getting feedback on that work. All of the MFA programmes, at the heart of them is a creative module that's very much about developing the individual artist's creative practice. And in many ways, contemporary theatre practice and dramaturgy support that core creative module. And the taught modules, those three taught modules, are taught over the first 2 terms of the academic year, essentially taught over 2 12-week terms or for 24 weeks in total. After which the students, as opposed to focusing on a dissertation, their capstone project at the end of the MFA programme, as opposed to a written thesis, is the directing of a full theatre production that is staged in the Lir Academy, working with our graduating acting and stage management and technical theatre students and their fellow design students on the MFA programme. And I can touch base on that a little bit more afterwards. But in terms of the key features of the programme, it's absolutely essential across all of the Lir's activities that all of our teaching is delivered by leading artistic practitioners in their own right. In this case, the Theatre Directing MFA is led by dramaturgs, by directors, and by Annabel Cummins, the course director, who has a very successful career directing for the Abbey, the Gate, Druid and others, and Louise Lowe also teaches on the programme annually, who has very successful work working in a devised or immersive sense, in a site-responsive sense with her company Anu Productions. Placements are part of the course, part of both the MFA in Design and Directing, whereby all the students work on one of the professional directors leading on graduate productions within the Lir Academy every year, but also assist on productions outside the Lir in some of Ireland's leading theatres, including the Abbey, the Gate, the Irish National Opera, Druid, Rough Magic. The list goes on and on. Students work across the theatre profession as part of those placements. And one of the key advantages of the MFA programmes in the Lir is how it showcases emerging students to the industry and helps those students to network and develop connections within the industry in order to help to advance the beginnings of their career. All of the MFA programmes, with that in mind, have a public facing. The work is presented to the general public, but also to industry professionals in terms of launching the graduates' careers as they leave the Lir Academy. Secondly, then, just to touch base on the MFA in Stage Design. Similarly, the course that can be taken full-time in 1 year or part-time over 2 years. The taught modules in the first 2 terms, students essentially take 3 modules. All students, as I said before, take contemporary theatre practice, working with the directors and the playwrights. And they then choose either 1 or 2 design disciplines. So students, for example, could take the costume design workshop and the set design workshop, or often we get students who are interested in studying set design and lighting design, so they would take the lighting design workshop. Students, one of the things that's unique about our MFA program in Stage Design is you can also then just decide you can specialise in one design discipline, or you can combine disciplines. Students who decide to focus on just one discipline, be that costume, set or lights, will then also take the dramaturgy module, which is particularly useful for students who may be coming to the MFA programme from an architecture background, from a fashion background, from a background other than having studied theatre or drama in their primary degree. And similarly to the theatre directing MFA, the MFA in Stage Design culminates with a capstone project where the students design a fully staged show, working with the directing students and other students graduating from the Lir Academy. In terms of those design workshops that run over the first 2 taught terms, again, they're led by and taught by Marie Kearns, who's the course director, who is a working theatre director in her own right, and also many other, theatre designer in her own right, and many other leading theatre designers lead projects on those workshops where the students are designing designing productions in response to set texts and building those designs up to put it up to be to model box or full costume drawings or full lighting plan. And then at the end of the course, as I say, those designs are brought to full production in the production design module. In terms of the key features of the programme, again, as I said, you can specialise in lighting, set or costume, or uniquely you can decide to study 2. The most common combinations would obviously be set and costume, or indeed set and lighting. But it is also possible to consider costume and lighting design, although it's obviously less common within the industry. Again, all practice-based work at the core of the MFA in Stage Design is the design work that students do in the workshop, working, as I say, with some of our leading designers in Ireland who maintain very busy careers working in the industry. And again, placements are part of the programme, with each student assisting on a production within the Lir, working with a professional designer who's designing one of our graduate productions, and also then assisting on a project outside the Lir. And again, working on GradFest at the end of the year with the directing students, which I'll touch on a little bit more at the end. And then finally, our MFA in Playwriting, again, can be taken full-time over a year or part-time over 2 years, and similarly, the taught modules over the first 2 terms. include contemporary theatre practice, which is, as I've said, is shared with the directors and the designers. And all the playwrights also take dramaturgy, doing that very deep reading, as I say, of the theatrical canon. But at the heart of the programme is the writing workshop, where students are working with Graham Whybrow, who is the course director, who's very, very experienced literary manager and dramaturg himself, having, amongst other things, been the literary manager in the Royal Court during their very successful period in the 1990s, when writers like Mark Ravenhill and Sarah Kane and others burst onto the scene and had such success internationally as well. Other tutors on the writing workshop include playwrights and dramaturgs such as Gavin Costick, but also visiting playwrights who've contributed to the programme over the years include people like Marina Carr, Conor McPherson, Enda Walsh, Marco Rowe, Deirdre Kinahan, basically all of the most successful Irish playwrights writing today. At the end of the MFA in Playwriting, again, the capstone project is not a written thesis, but obviously the playwrights instead work on the development of a full-length play, which they write over a 3 to 4 month period, working with Graham Whybrow as a kind of a mentor during that period, but also working with professional actors in readings and development workshops on the delivery of that final play. In terms of the key features, again, it's taught by our core tutors, Graham, and many visiting playwrights over the course of the taught terms. And the graduating plays, or the graduating playwrights' full-length plays, are presented at an event every year in September in the Lir Academy called Scripted, where we work with a professional director and professional actors to present excerpts from each of the graduating plays. Again, presenting those to the general public, but also to the to literary managers and artistic directors of the leading theatres in Ireland who are interested in being introduced to new playwriting talent. In terms of, as I say, all of the MFA programmes, a key element of the programmes is giving young artists the opportunity to create fully realised work and presenting that work to the general public and to the industry. We do that essentially in a number of ways. First of all, through GradFest, which takes place at the end of the academic year, where the theatre directing students, as I say, and the stage design students are working together with the third year actors, who are also at the very end of their training and about to enter the profession as well, and the stage management and technical theatre students across all 3 years of that programme. Essentially, we normally have 4 GradFest productions featuring the work of all of the MFA students, which is presented as a mini festival for the industry to come and engage with and see those productions and be introduced to the students through a series of networking events, meetings, etc. Here we just have some images of some of the graduating shows from the last 3 or 4 years, including some production shots, as you can see. Alongside the GradFest productions, the design students also present an exhibition of their work over the course of the year, which is a further opportunity for them to showcase their work to the industry. And it runs throughout the GradFest festival, so all of the audience members coming to see the productions during GradFest also encounter the exhibition on their way into the shows. And as I say, Scripted is a separate event for the playwriting students, which takes place in September every year, usually during the Dublin Fringe Festival, and it again showcases the work of the graduating students to the industry. I suppose the fact that the students are showcased in this way have had enormous benefits for the students, who often go straight into professional work having graduated from the MFA programs. We've had graduates from all of the programs working successfully in the industry across all of our leading theatre companies, including people like Maeve McHugh, for example, who's had her graduating play produced by Druid Theatre Company in Galway, and went on to do the adaptation of Landmark Productions' staging of Louise O'Neill's novel Asking for It, which played both in Ireland and the UK. We've had theatre directors working in many of the leading companies directing professional productions, but also many of the directors and the designers also indeed are then implied by the Lir to come back and do professional work for us at the Lir as well. And all of our designers similarly are working continuously across theatre, but also some of them have also started to design work for TV and film production. In terms of the fees and the funding, the fees are, as all Trinity courses, depend on whether you are considered to be an EU or a non-EU student, and you can see the different breakdown there. And indeed, the part-time fees similarly are broken down across EU and non-EU fees. Significantly, we work very hard to fundraise to support students in their studies. Particularly, it's a key feature of the Lir Academy that we don't turn away any student on the basis of their ability, particularly not on financial grounds or financial need. So we do a lot of fundraising in order to provide resources for students to allow them to accept the place if they're offered it. Some of the funding types that are available include the Patricia Leggett Scholarship, which is a scholarship that runs every year for a playwright, and applications for the scholarship open in April every year. And it basically offers fully paid fees to one of the playwriting students every year, and a small contribution as well towards the living expenses. This year we're very happy to say that there's a new fellowship, the Haddad Fellowship, that's open within Trinity, and the three Lir MFA programs are three of the programs that have been identified for this fellowship, and it's an application that is only open to Brazilian students. We fundraise ourselves for bursaries, which we offer a maximum of €5,000 to successful bursary applicants, and all students are able to apply for a bursary once they've been offered a place on one of our MFA programs. The bursary process, or the application process, is means tested, so in order to ensure that the most deserving students are in receipt of bursary support. And there's more information on additional funding available for our courses through Trinity from tcd.ie. Just very briefly then, in terms of the way the Lir has been working during COVID-19, we have been doing a mixture of online and in-person classes, but we've been working very hard to ensure that all of our training is delivered online, or indeed all of our training is delivered in person where possible, and we have been able to continue the delivery of the vast majority of our training in person, including being able to present the graduating GradFest productions in September and October in the theatres in the Lir, with very, very robust safety protocols in place. And they include, obviously, following all the government regulations, including social distancing, hand hygiene, face coverings, etc. And we have been working very hard to develop those protocols, and they're also available on our website, thelir.ie, where people can read in detail the safety protocols that we have put in place in order to ensure that our training continues in person where possible. And as I say, that can be found on thelir.ie. So applications close at the end of February every year, and you can find out more information from admissions@thelir.ie. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure outlining our MFA programs to you, and we hope to receive your applications very soon. Thank you.